Hi, this is Sarah from Crafting and Stamping and welcome to my online workshop. So for our first make and take tonight, we're going to be using these wonderful free papers from Celebration. These are free with a £45 purchase. And you can see that we've got some lovely floral designs. You get two 12 by 12 sheets of each pattern, so it's a full 12 by 12 pack in a lovely there's like a paper, almost like paper feel behind them. It's not actually to the touch, but you can see that it's got that slight sort of papery quality in the background of all of these. So we're going to be using, let's just get that right around. So we're going to be using a bunch of these tonight. So these are all florals on one side, and if we turn them over, we've got some lovely colour washes on the other side, and nice, pretty patterns that are great for backgrounds. I've been using these a lot. The Starry Sky ones are wonderful for masculine cards. So we've got a good mix in this paper pack. And for our card, we're actually going to be using one of the ovals. I've already done a video on YouTube. If you don't subscribe already to my YouTube channel, please go over there and subscribe, because I've already shown a video showing how to cut these. But this one I've cut down a little bit further so that it fits nicely on our card front here. And if you place an order with me before Sunday, then you are going to be able to get the make and take pack if you leave a qualifying order. Full details of that are sort of either above or below this video, so you'll find that. And so the make and take pack includes 4 projects. So this is project number 1, and this is a nice simple one. And I'm actually going to use a Night of Navy. I just want to go a little bit darker on this. And I'm going to stamp direct onto this oval here. Now, if you do happen to make a mistake, don't worry about it. If you make a mistake and you stamp and it doesn't go well, then what you can do is stamp onto some basic white card or similar, trim it down and pop it up over the top. So, you know, if you do make a mistake, don't worry too much about it. But one of the ways I would suggest that you can avoid making a mistake is if you use a photopolymer stamp, because then you can see exactly where you are stamping. So that takes out some of the risk. And I'm using the Flowering Tulips stamp set here for my sentiment, and we'll use one for the inside as well. So I'm going to pop this on a block. So I'll just press it and lift it up like that. I'm going to bring in my mat when I can find it. And I can't find my mat at the moment. That's not organised of me. I'll risk it without. I do recommend, when you're using photopolymer stamps, that you use a mat behind. So if you've got Starry Sky ink, then, oops, daisy, then you can go ahead and use that. Let's hope I don't need to flip this one over. So I'm going to put my insert over to one side, along with the other bits and pieces. So, and we're just going to stamp this, like I say, in the inside of this oval. So I've put it straight on my grid paper so that I can try and keep this as straight as possible. And I'm going to just press, and I was hovering over the top there so that I could see exactly where I'm stamping, making sure not to rock my stamp. and lift up like that. So that has worked out nicely. So to assemble this, to assemble my card front, I'm just going to pop this onto here. Now I often do use seal, but one of the things I want to just point out to you, for this card, I wanted to give it a very narrow edge like that, so that it stands out nicely against that starry sky. Let me just bring in, I did something with my Paper Dolls group, and we did an oval, but you can see that the background for this oval is quite wide, and I decided I wanted to do this again, but using a narrower one. So the problem with having a narrower border is that you do need to be quite careful when putting the two together. A wider border just gives a little bit wider margin for error. So what I'm going to do, instead of using seal, which is pretty much a one-shot chance, I'm going to use liquid glue to pop this on, and that just does give me what I call a little bit of slide time. So I can put that on. I've purposely put it at a bit of an angle, and I can just slide that into place. So when I say I purposely did that, it's to show you that it does give you just a bit of time to be able to slide it into place. So, and usually I do actually then press from the back so that you don't smudge your ink, but I knew that should be pretty dry. Now, putting this on, I've got this as a landscape opening card like that. You can either put this on direct, or you can pop it up on dimensionals, and I am going to use dimensionals. Even if we're posting, that is not going to be too much excess, just one layer. I frequently pop up a couple of layers and still have no problem posting. But I've got some nice even dimensionals there, so to keep it for going through the post. Peel all the backings off, and we'll stick this onto the front of our card. And again, I'm actually going to stand up when I do this to make sure that I get it on straight. And I want to get that even margin, side to side and top to bottom, like that. And then I'm just going to finish it off with some of these, where have I put those? Here we are. Some of these adhesive backed Milky Dots. So they come in a variety of colours, and I think that this is actually Night of Navy, but to be quite honest, it's not so far different from the Starry Sky that it's going to look bad in any way. So I'm just going to pop those on like that, and then we'll do our insert. And I've just kept a little bit of a couple of the strips of paper, and we're going to stamp another sentiment, as I say, and we're just going to use the Love You So Much on the inside here. And because I'm going to put these to the side here, I'm going to stamp over here. So I'm not going to stamp quite in the centre, because the centre will have moved with these margins. So it's not central to the edges of the insert, it's central to the edge and where I'm putting my paper. So I'm just leaving that as a kind of marker. It's not straight, it doesn't matter. So pop that there, and again stand up so that I can see what I'm doing. As I say, with photopolymer I would usually have a mat in the background, and I will find my mat. And now we can stick these on, and I might as well use the liquid glue since it's here. So I tend to zigzag it down like that, and I would have been better off actually. I want this one on the outside, the darker one. So luckily the glue won't dry before I get both of these on. So I'm just going to pop this one on the outside like this. Try and make sure that that's nice and even. And then pop this one buttered up next to it. And again, using that wet glue lets you just slide that into place so that they are perfectly aligned. And now I might as well again use the wet glue. Luckily that little smudge didn't matter. If you're using wet glue, don't squeeze out too thick an amount. For one thing, it's likely to squeeze out from the edges, and you'll get glue on your project where you don't want it if you're not careful. And the other thing is that it tends to buckle the card a little bit if you squeeze out too much. So again, sliding that into place. And there is our first project for this workshop. So obviously you go with whatever sentiment you've got when you get your pack. If you place an order, then you just get these elements. You don't get any stamps included or stamped images, as I'm not allowed to do that as per Stampin' Up rules. But you should have got a sentiment, I'm sure, within your stash that would fit in that centre there. As I say, if you do have a problem or you just don't want to risk it, what you could do is just pop a sentiment up in the centre on a strip of paper. So right, that's our card number 1.